when we talk specifically about the team, there are three words that seem to always come up, whether it be in social media or anywhere online or in TV. Three words: style of play. And not many people quite understand exactly what that means to you. So how do you best explain what you want the style of play to be for the U.S. men's national team? And how did you arrive at that conclusion in what style is best?
Well, what style is best, you will only get that answer once you play in a World Cup and you implement all the things you wanted to implement and you see if it works or doesn't. That's the risk you take as a coach. I'm a deep believer that the style of play reflects your environment where you live in. And living here in this country since 13 years, I think I have a certain sense of how Americans think and how they act. Obviously, everyone is different. Every coach here at the convention has a different philosophy and probably a different style of play. But we went through a process, in 2004 till 2006 with the German team where we defined a certain style of play in a lot of discussions also with the players, because a lot has to do with the quality of your players, who you have to play a certain style. But also, what is their background? What drives them? What cultural elements play into this whole piece? What do the people expect? What they want to see from their U.S. team? And the more you discuss that, the deeper you go. In many discussions, obviously, you get back to your cultural roots. And that's what I said in the beginning. I said, well, I don't see Americans being really reactive to the rest of the world. I think, you have this inner drive that you want to kind of do things first. You just go for it. You think that you want to control the situation. You don't want to always kind of just counter-break teams and wait what the other one's doing. You rather be a bit more proactive. So you kind of throw out these bullet points, and then you think about it, okay, can we actually play that? Do we have the players for that? Or, where do we stand right now? The conclusion is, you're in a transition. I think that a lot of the players now being part of the senior national team program, they would like to do the next step. They would like to kind of move the whole thing a bit more forward and see, how can we play with the big ones in the world. So not only reacting to France, to Spain, or to Brazil and Argentina, maybe one day can we play with them. Hopefully we can one day. If not, that would be kind of an answer that you have to accept maybe and say, okay, then we change it again. So it's a process where you don't know the answer yet. But it's a fascinating process because I think, because so much happened now over the last years in this country, that the quality is improving. Our players are getting better educated. Our players are technically more aware of things. They're improving technically as well. The physical side plays a role. So there are a lot of elements that all the coaches know that play into the whole picture. But I think it's worth to explore how far we can go with this whole discussion style of play. But I mean, obviously, I'm rather a person that goes forward than goes backwards. But still, I understand also that you need have to have a strong foundation. Right. You need to be organized defensively. You need to have the pieces in place, and you need to have also the confidence of doing certain things. So you put all these things in a big puzzle, and you're working on it. And sometimes it works a bit better, sometimes you're not. And then comes the proven point. The proven point is World Cup qualification. And the next proven point, hopefully after a successful qualification campaign, is then the World Cup in Brazil. And that will show if you can do it.
It's obvious that you're trying to instill a new brand of soccer. When do you expect to see some progress? So with that being said, to expound on that, where are you seeing the most improvements in terms of integrating your style of play with this team?
Well, I mean, obviously it takes time. There's no doubt about it. And it takes patience. And it takes here and there some setbacks. But the question would be a great question for the players. Working now with me for 4 or 5 months, and seeing, so how does this guy train? What kind of elements does he integrate into the camps? What is he talking about? How is he communicating with us? So I think the players, they got a sense for it, where we want to go from this whole idea, to play a more attacking style of play eventually down the road, because it's demanding a lot from them. They kind of have to switch gears. They have to understand that, our comparison is not a domestic picture. You know, we not compare ourselves with a domestic league or, you know, what they see maybe at their clubs. You know, our comparison is a global picture. So I got to go out there, and I was last month in Brazil for a coaching seminar. I got to go out there and see, you know, what's new in Brazil, what's new in Argentina, what are the Spanish doing for being the #1 team in the world right now, what are the best club teams in the world are doing, and get a sense for it. So we have to kind of find ways to compete with the best in the world. So to give that kind of more broader global picture to the players is a very important piece of our education to them. You know, when players come and they play in a certain role at their club teams in the Premier League or Bundesliga or in MLS, they used to do it in a certain way. Now, for me, that might be not enough, because I got to tell them, you know what, if you want to step it up to the next level, then you got to add this and this and this piece to your game. You know, in order maybe for Clint Dempsey one day playing in a Champions League team, or Tim Howard, for example, or another player finding a team in a Europa League, or to be an MLS player, to be really at the top of his game in his club. So everywhere there is a next level, there's a next step to take.
For all the players.
For all the players involved. Everybody comes from a different background and from, you know, different expectations. But I think that is the fascinating thing for a coach. That's what I love. And I love to kind of tell the players, this is where you are right now. I see you have the potential to go higher, but it's you the driving force. It's not your coach. It's not your personal environment. They won't push you. They won't drive you. It's your inner drive that makes that. So I think I can be very helpful in that process, and that's what I'm trying to do. Open their eyes and says, you know, I'm not telling you how I want it. Right. I'm just telling you this is the rest of the world doing it. You know, this is how Barcelona plays, or this is how Spain plays, or right now a young German team does, because of those elements that they implemented, because of their lifestyle that they have, because of their rhythm of training, the intensity of training, and because of their nutrition that they're looking after, and all those different elements that make an athlete a better athlete. You know, so what we are asking the player basically is, you know, you got to give it your best in every element. Otherwise, you miss out here a couple of percents, there a couple of percents, and the coaches at the convention, they know that it's all about the little pieces at the end of the day.